Thank you very much for today. Mm. Thank you very much for today. Mm. Still working on it. Could alternatively call this vlog cast Keep Looking Up. Just keep looking up. We'll tie it all together. 100 different points into a beautiful ball of yarn. I'm not sure what culture they still do that in, but there's one out there. Afghanistan, maybe. That one's just for Ian. We'll get to that in a minute. I've been thinking about what I would say for this schlepisode all day long, and believe me, I took some notations on things I missed and didn't quite ground on the last episode, but that's for the part two of love, and that's a whole nother story. But it's amazing how quickly your mind can change when you make a conscious effort. It really is startling. I usually think in rhyme form. And I know there's a psychologist out there that will say thinking in rhyme form is merely the manifestation of a mental illness, and he's got a pill for it. And that's cool. But if you gave everybody that was good at rhyming a pill, I think the world would be a much crappier place. And it's one of the reasons that I actually am not the most enormous fan of thinking in the context of humor anymore, because I really feel like that's about exploiting a problem, and really you end up fixating on problems as opposed to solutions. And that really is a story for a whole nother episode. The fixation on problems and the pitfalls of being a comedian and the mindset that it creates. But for me, one of the most liberating and free flowing forms of expression for me, if not the most that I am in current possession of, is writing rap. And so I usually do that every single day. I've been doing it every day for around 17 years now, maybe a little bit longer. And needless to say, it's become a constant source of some form of therapy at the very minimum, if not a bunch of other things. And occasionally it is a source of stress too, because even though it's therapy, I hope to be able to deliver these rhymes to people one day in what would be recognized as a professionally polished product and not just a polished turd. Mythbusters did prove that you could polish a turd. Lion turds, they're super dry and dense. But since I started this vlog cast, it's just added another plate to spin. And just to catch you guys up to date, because I know y'all can't read my mind and I don't really advertise when I'm doing very well. I'm working on that as well. Um, for a little bit over the last 6 months, I've been working on my first book ever. And that's news to almost everyone because I've been keeping it a complete and total secret. And that is the opposite of my usual approach, where I tell everyone what I'm going to do before I even start doing it, and usually never end up doing those things. So I just wanted to finish something before I told anyone that I even begun it. Take a radically different approach to get different results. I thought that was a good idea, and it was. But this brings me to a series of problems. It's kind of like a massive traffic jam at a major intersection, a conjunction junction, all junked up. Because prior to thinking in terms of the vlog, I was really in an excellent groove for thinking in terms of rap. And sometimes it's legitimately overwhelming just with the rap itself, the amount that I'm urged to write. It's difficult to turn the faucet off. It just starts flowing, and it don't stop sometimes. Uh, just a couple of weeks ago, I, among many other efforts, that singular day that I will fill you in on as well, I wrote over 30 songs just that day, over 30 songs, and I'm very fascinated by music. I love it so much, and so sometimes when a particular song really resonates with me deeply, I the lyrics are very important to me as well. Usually, very important, and I'll check out who writes the songs sometimes, and it always amazes me. Somehow never ceases. Just this continual childlike. How can that be? I've never seen such a thing, even though I've seen it so many times before. That there's occasionally over 20 different writers credited for writing a song, and the same people or the same person that is performing that song written by 20 people also has a team of another 50, 60, 70 people, personal trainers, dietitians, beauticians, jewelers, personal chefs, um, their producer, their editor, their director, their co-writers, just a myriad of creative influences. Not to mention, then you got the whole film crew and just everybody to put the whole project together, and it's a beautiful thing. And I can't wait until I have my team one day to present a better product than I've been able to myself so far. And believe me, it isn't for a lack of effort. I've tried so many different things, but that is part of the problem. I'm trying a few too many different things at once. So, just on that very day that I wrote over 30 songs, I also wrote pages and pages for my upcoming stand up comedy gig that's coming up next month. And for a long time, I had I hadn't necessarily given up on comedy. I always like making people laugh. It's one of my favorite things to do, and it's not that I've forgotten how to make people laugh or anything like that, but it's just difficult sometimes when you're not in the right mindset to force yourself into that mindset. And even though I was able to get there rapidly, as soon as I got booked for the show, I wrote like 17 pages of comedy that first day, and since then I've filled up almost an entire notebook of material, like five five to 10 times as much material as I'll need for the show, maybe even more. And that was kind of clouding the the rap writing, and trying to finish up working on a couple of songs, which is why I started recording myself here and why the vlog is happening. So it seems all to be working towards something in a slow, semi-painful process. But growth is supposed to be painful. That's why they call it growing pains. But not just writing a book and figuring out, going through all the loopholes of figuring out how to be a self-publisher, writing stand-up comedy for an upcoming act, continually writing rap music every day and working on specific rap songs over legitimate production, seeking to work with engineers, trying to find people who will help me film the music video and edit it properly to make it look really good. Um, Additionally, very shortly going to start my own company, usually coinciding with the becoming a self-publisher. A lot of individuals I've researched start their own self-publishing company. Seems to be a reasonable approach. And since I'm doing so many other things anyway, maybe at some point in time when I do become better at advertising myself, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to have a business card that informs people of all of my different things. And it is really difficult when you can't just give yourself exclusively to one thing. It's actually really funny, in my opinion. Well, first I just want to say it's a very strange coincidence and similarity. Well, not so much. It's just what's popular, but how all of these I shouldn't say all of these, but a lot of grown men have have adorned themselves with a similar look. And there's so many dudes out there that just look indistinguishable from each other. We'll call it the Alex Hormozy look, and that is to allude to a speech that he was giving. And it's hilarious. I could just, see so many things. I could just see live action what's actually going on in his mind while everyone else thinks, oh, here's this competent and talented individual. He's really, he's dying on the inside. And that's why he's working so hard on the outside. So he makes this series of allegories and says one of his friends is a massive failure in life just because he hasn't turned one of his multiple very successful multi-million dollar businesses into a billion-dollar business. And I think that's kind of ridiculous because it's difficult for most people to understand or comprehend how many people are making a living or are able to feed their family and do what they want to do when they're not working because of these multi-million dollar businesses, multiple multi-million dollar businesses. And that's not necessarily what I'm supporting or endorsing here. I'm just saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a singular multi-million dollar business, let alone multiple million-dollar businesses. So don't let any billionaire bring you down. Not that anyone's having those conversations on a usual basis, but that's okay. If you look at my YouTube algorithm, it looks like everybody's trying to be a billionaire, but I don't think that's the case. I would hope most people are more rational than to attempt to be in, an arena that is exclusive of one of about 10,000 people in the world each. So it's a high ladder to climb. But Alex Hormozy is standing in front of a crowd of aspiring individuals and some very successful individuals already just trying to learn something else and get a leg up in the world. And he's mentioned that his friend is a failure in life because he's running multiple multi-million dollar businesses instead of $1 billion business or multi-billion dollar business. And he makes this whiteboard drawing PowerPoint presentation of somebody literally spinning too many plates and says repeatedly over and over again, maybe 75 times in the course of about 4 minutes, just do one thing, just do one thing, just do one thing, like he's trying to hypnotize people. And that's not bashing hypnosis. I've come full circle on hypnosis. I've come full circle on a lot of things. And sometimes I've even done a 720, maybe even a 1440 a couple of times on things. Forget a full circle. But he's telling everybody just do one thing. And then he provides his shining example of the best person in the world to illustrate that it is best to do one thing and only one thing. And he says, look at this person that is most successful in the world doing one thing, and says Elon Musk. And I don't know if anyone knows Elon Musk. It's kind of an obscure guy, but he's got two companies, SpaceX, Tesla, and I would imagine he probably dabbles in a few other things. He's probably got a couple other things up his sleeves, tricks in his pockets, a couple of hangly danglies that you don't see inside of the suit jacket that he opens up and sells on the street to other billionaires. Well, really, what he does is he just takes insane amounts of money from the government. I think it's hilarious. I just want to throw this in here. I'm so far from my original point, but that's all right. I personally know a number of individuals who obsessively gripe and complain about individuals who are receiving their taxpayer money. They're taking their hard-earned dollars. And first off, I would just like you to consider that your source of anger, part of it, comes from a state of envy or jealousy because part of you wants to be what you assume those other people to be, not hardworking individuals, lazy, apathetic, just sitting there and being cared for without doing anything when that couldn't be further from the truth most of the time. And they're good, hardworking, honest people who are disadvantaged for a variety of reasons. Beyond that, the amount of money that comes from your paycheck to pay for those people is entirely negligible in comparison to what actually the main source of money that our government spends money on. But that's a topic for another video, a whole nother story. Thank you very much for today. The United States military. And second to that, honestly, whether or not this is a joke or it might even be true at this point, but I think second to the United States military, nobody gets more money from the government than Elon Musk right now. So you want to talk about his net worth and where your taxpayer dollars are going, they're literally going to Elon Musk. Is that ridiculous or not? I think that's kind of ridiculous. And so when people want to praise individuals like that, I mean, part of me thinks it's absolutely hilarious, actually, because everyone I think would like to get back at the government and take some of the money that they feel the government has taken from them. So it's the ultimate con in some way, and so I think there's probably a lot of animosity and again jealousy towards Elon Musk because everyone wishes that they could be the Howard Hughes of the 21st century, getting massive government contracts to do whatever they want to do with it because they're master salesmen. That's just what it comes down to. But so proof that you don't have to spin just one plate, but also proof that if you are spinning a couple of plates, you have to keep them balanced at the very minimum. Otherwise, it all falls apart, as it has done for many, many people. Um, so I'm also trying to teach my piano how to play piano by itself. It's not a player piano. I should have went back in time and got one of those, or just ordered one off Amazon and be here tomorrow at my doorstep, free shipping. But I'm trying to teach myself how to play piano and work out every day and do a million other things. You know, so adding the vlog to it and then having that be today for the most part, creatively speaking, an all-consuming thing shows you exactly how quickly you can just completely and totally change your mindset. I'm still maintaining my daily rigmarole of normal human responsibilities, which is a whole nother story, a topic for another video. Thank you very much for today. Keep looking up. Just keep looking up. Just keep looking up. But that's all right because I really feel at this point the universe is kind of like forcing me into it. I'm still having so many issues with the music, and everyone that I reach out to ghosts me or does not provide a helpful response. Something redundant to the logic that I possess, therefore, still at square one with some problems. And reaching out for finishing touches to publishing the book has been a great issue as well. Um, and it's so funny. I will have people who directly tell me like, "Oh yes, it was great talking to you last time. I can't wait to talk to you again. I'm busy tonight. I'll give you a call tomorrow, 10 a.m." Uh, you know, I got 5 different alarms set. I'm just anxiously awaiting the phone call at 10 a.m. It's 10 p.m. I still haven't gotten a phone call. It's all right. And even though the topic of friends is for a whole nother video as well, because I'm a long-winded mofo who be tying a lot of points together. The tapestry of the torment of the overthinker. But I directly reached out to multiple of my closest friends to solve a quandary I had as well, just um, to see if any of them were in possession of a computer program that I don't have and didn't want to pay for, and you can only use when you have a steady internet connection, which I do not have here. And I thought that at least one of them would come through, and one of them said, "Oh yeah, like guaranteed, I'll see you this weekend. If I don't see you tonight, I'll see you Sunday, the very latest, and we'll get together and we'll work this thing out. And I expressed very clearly and directly, this is a life changing thing for me. This is extremely important. Like I've made a lot of changes, but I'm not fully there yet. I just need to do this thing, and then it's game on. So I thought I had enlivened their enthusiasm on the matter as well. The weekend passed, and I didn't hear from them either. So I undertook the book thinking that this was the only thing that was completely and totally under my control because I can't make beats, I can't record myself, so I can't do the rap by myself to the best of my ability. And the comedy, honestly, I really want to make movies and TV shows and stuff. And even though I can do 83 different characters, my Instagram is proof. There's a little Easter egg for you. I can't do the Eddie Murphy thing by myself and just film myself with 40 different costumes and be in multiple different places at once and just do all that. I'm sure I could actually legitimately green screen and um, post edit all that stuff together, but it would look horrible and it wouldn't be as good as it could be, in any way, aesthetically, artistically, or in any way. So, and everything else to a degree as well, sort of hinged on somebody else's ability to offer me a step into a door, an open window, a hand to help me up. Some pick your metaphor, but I felt like the book was something that was completely and entirely under my control, and yet still the the last phase, converting a PDF from one program to another because the template won't work on the program that I have, and blah blah blah, to work with the company to publish the book and all of these things. Um, it'll be worth it in the end, and I can't wait for people to read it, and I can't wait for people to see these videos. But even though I say that it feels like the universe is forcing me to do this, I still don't know how to upload these on to YouTube from my computer either. So that's a little ironic, I guess. But uh, just the mere fact that you know every other avenue seems to be a very narrow path right now, and I've just kind of been repeating the same steps and processes over and over and over again with everything else. It's become redundant and stagnant, and this feels fresh, and it has been really invigorating for me personally. I hope for some of you at some point as well. And I suppose, not that I'm trying to trick you into thinking what you're hearing is better than it actually is. I'm not trying to be a magician or, tell you anything is what it isn't. That isn't my interest. Try to keep it as real as possible here. I, ironically enough, never wanted to do the vlog or podcast or even be on any social media at any point in time from the days of MySpace. I was always the last one to to do anything, and it was always so begrudgingly and so reluctantly. I didn't want to be a part of these larger systems that I saw everyone fall into without even thinking what they were really being a part of, the consequences of them, what it was actually doing to them. They're just like, oh, something new that everyone else is doing, let's do that. So, and it wasn't that I was just oppositional to be rebellious and to be a little renegade, protesting, and some inception stuff, but I just, and it wasn't that I was genuinely disinterested either. I just saw that a lot of these things were a product of a scheme to entrap you in one way or another and get something from you, your time, your attention, your ideas, your heart, your body, whatever. So, it was Last Mofo with a yo-yo, Last Mofo with Pokemon cards, Last Mofo on MySpace, and probably the last mofo on there still, because as far as I know, I got my MySpace still. I actually like that as far as all of the social medias were concerned. It was low key, it was slow paced. You had your top eight, you had your music list. It was cool. You cultivated a little atmosphere with your whole background and everything. It was nice. If we could have kept it simple with that, I think we'd be all right now. But we ain't. And we ain't gonna get into the whole social media thing. I want to do a whole video on social media. I want to do a whole video on dating apps. I want to do a whole video on mobile games and microtransactions and just so many things. But I always found the idea of being on any of these social media things, even though the idea behind them was that it's connecting us all. It's all bringing us together, making things so easy. Oh, you're 7 years old. You could find the person that you graduated from high school with that you haven't seen in 50 years, and say, "What's up, Tommy? You want to go fishing?" No, Jared. You dated my sister and you broke her heart. I'll never forgive you. And 70-year-olds be like that. They still be holding on to the high school stuff. It's a true story. I talk to them a lot. That's just touch back briefly on as well why I'm still single. Ladies, um, one of my main jobs for a long time was in an industry where the average age of participants is probably like 70 years old. Legitimately, it's a dying, it's a dying economy in more ways than one. But being on social media and just posting about yourself, because that's what most people do with it. Instagram was a little bit different because I felt like it gave people an opportunity to just kind of show the world through their eyes. That seemed to be one of the innovative concepts behind it. So the people that weren't so vain and self-indulgent that they only took pictures of themselves, people that decided to take pictures of sunsets and flowers and trees and not just their pets, to give their dog an account that's worth more than my net worth right now, and that's the world we live in. There's dogs out there that are going to leave more to their puppies than you. Arf arf. But I kind of thought like the epicenter or the antithesis of an egotistical individual boasting himself or herself or themself or helicopter self was making a vlog. Like a blog was one thing, just typing some stuff because it could be informative. You could be telling your fellow heart surgeon, community members how to do an operation better. Ben Carson, where you at? You messed up. You messed up, bro. You could have had something special. And usually people take the vlog to say absolutely nothing at all. And it's funny too. I've been watching hours and hours of videos recently on how to do so many different things. And the technical skills are purely educational and they're 100% worthwhile. You find people that are nearly masters of their craft, if not legitimate masters of their particular niche, giving away things that people used to have to go to school for or go to a Venetian island and go through rituals to get the right to learn some sacred knowledge that was kept away for centuries from anyone. And that's why knowledge is valuable. But most people usually do the vlog and I'm waking up in the morning and this is how I look. I woke up like this. Aren't I so special and pretty? Look at me. And now I'm walking to the bathroom where I make coffee and play with my Pokemon cards. This is Poliwhirl. This is a Tagliaferry. This is Doiglet. This is Pikachu. And people watch that. Those videos have more views than I've ever gotten on anything. That's the staggering thing. Like I said, it's not like I haven't tried. 2009 was the first time I posted videos on YouTube. I literally hand sent individually all of those videos, all two of those videos, but they're long videos and they came from like 300 hours of work. on my side. Nobody knows the behind the scenes of these things. Let's not get to Tony Robbins. Steph Curry took 3.25. No, he took 2.25 million shots to make 3,000 shots. Nobody knows how many shots he took behind the scenes to make the shots that he's accredited for. It takes a lot of work to put out a good thing. And that's, I guess, what's refreshing, but also completely different about the vlog is, even though I did so much preparation for this, I'm not talking about really anything that I wrote down. And a lot of what I wrote down was just ideas for future videos and concepts and things that I want to add into the show, improvements, things that I'll need to do that. And see, the vlog has just become me talking about what I'm doing. And what's the point of that, really? Well, this is the point. There's 2 points. There's more than that. Um, First, I just want to say the perception before explaining why the universe has really forced me into this, and it kind of makes sense. It ain't just the universe, it's the world, and that ain't the earth. The world is what we've made. The earth is what it is, not what we've made. And we are made of the earth. But that's a whole nother story. Topic for another video. Thank you very much for today. Just keep looking up. It really is a matter of perception, because this coincides with the following point, that there is this longingness for connection, and we live in the most isolated world that we've ever lived in human history, and it makes no sense because there's 8 billion people on the planet and infinite tools to reach all of those people instantaneously. You don't have to write a letter sealed with blood and earwax and trust a mailman to take it across sea on a ship, or the headless horseman to take it through the dark forest of unknown sorrows and potential dangers to your long lost love, who ain't gonna get the letter anyway, because the headless horseman ain't got no head, so he can't see where he going. He ran into a tree. The horse ran off with the luggage. It's game over. But now you can send a text to pretty much anybody on the planet, or a direct message, or some form of communication, and yet everyone's alone. So a lot of people find themselves in a similar situation, trying to do 500 things to catch up with the rest of the world, feeling lost, feeling alone, feeling disconnected, feeling stuck. And this is where it comes to a matter of perception and perspective. I do enjoy some platitudes, even though they're not necessarily universal truths. They're kind of like those fortune cookie sayings that are vaguely applicable enough to your own personal life that, it's almost an art form. Anyone could read them and could say that this fits some part of my life, the way that they're worded. And sometimes the fortune cookies have profound wisdom, but sometimes they're open ended. And it is sort of the glass half full, glass half empty thing. Why can't the glass be all the way full? Why can't it be overflowing? It often is. And there's usually a couple of cracks in the glass as well. Even though it's overflowing out the top, it's also spilling out the bottom and the sides and all over the place. Your your perception is sort of the vessel, and your life, everything in it, is the water filling up the glass or not in the glass, however you'd like to look at it. So this is why it's imperative to fix our perception, regardless of the amount of liquid that we have in our life. how much drip we got. How much drip do we got? I don't know. Today we looking pretty drippy. Looking like a Scooby Doo mystery van in human form. I can dig it. Funk era. Funk Master Flex. Not my favorite producer. But we'll just tell a little story here. And this is actually kind of based on a true story. Over the last 2 days, a couple of interesting things have happened to me. So honestly, every day something interesting happens. I'm an interesting guy. But I had deep emotional vibrations with a couple of different aspects of my interactions with the world around me. And I think this is where it's really important to consider your perspective on things, especially when you're communicating with other people and telling them about your life. And it's not a matter of so you can construct or inform on how they should perceive you, because that's a very popular thing in today's world, how to influence people's perception of you. That doesn't really matter. Most of the people that you have in your life, quite honestly, right now, not going to be in your life later on in life. Most of them. I've seen families fall apart, children that didn't speak to their parents 40, 50, 60 years. Their parents died. Their children still didn't want anything to do with them. They left the funeral to the across the hall neighbor at the old folks' home. And even your friends. They say bros before hoes because people think that friendships are more stable than relationships. That's not true. 90% of the time, if people have kids together, even if they split up, they still are in each other's lives to help raise that kid. And in today's world, it takes a lot longer than 18 years. Bordering on whale companionship for parent child now, for the dependency, just because of how difficult it is for them to establish themselves. It's a completely different climate. A topic for another video, a whole nother story. Picture that this is you. I'm going to tell you a little mini-sode. We just going for a little drive here. I want you to picture yourself on this drive. And think that you're going to your friend's house at the end of this drive. You're just going from your house to your friend's house. Not a very long drive. 5, 10 minutes, we'll say. You get out of your house. You're about to get in your car. And something propels you to just look up at the sky. You are urged, you are provoked to just look up. Just keep looking up. You see a couple of planes, you see the stars, because you're not in a big city. And there goes all of my audience right there. But let's say even if on a rooftop on a particularly clear day where there's no light pollution, it's a blackout. It's August 14th, 2006, something like that. And whole city's blacked out, and you can see all the stars. You see the planes going by. And strangely enough, just coincidentally, but there are no coincidences, my brother says, you were thinking about all the shooting stars that you've missed over the years, just living your life the way you've been living it, not looking up, keeping your head down, staying inside, not going outside, not doing things, not being cool. You see the Perseid meteor shower was around your birthday, and your next door neighbor, who's your ex-girlfriend, said she was going to take you to an observatory to check out the Perseid meteor shower, and then she dumped you instead. So you didn't see them shooting stars, and you're like, man, all of them shooting stars I missed. Shooting stars is my people. That's people that I've lost, telling me that I'm okay, and I feel really shitty not responding to those messages. They put in a lot of hard work flying from another galaxy for no reason when they had way better stuff to do than tell little old me that I'm okay. But that shooting star flew by, Just before I stepped foot in my car to go see my friend, you stepped into your car to go see your friend, one of your homies that ain't on this earth anymore, flew by in the sky and you saw him for the first time in a long time. And you really appreciated that. Because when nothing is going your way in today's wonky world, today's Willy Wonka world, where ain't no golden tickets, you were reminded that you're still on the right path. Ancestors say you are right. You're doing good. You're okay. So you get in your car and you're feeling good. But you've also watched 452 different self help videos on YouTube. One that told you to go to bed at 8 p.m., one that told you to go to bed at 3:10 p.m. That's right. That's on the Picasso nap pattern, doing some Kramer stuff. You still ain't Andrew Kramer. You're working on it. I hope you get there. I love you, brother. You got this. I know you got this. And one of the 452 self-help videos you watched was about Stoic philosophy. So it's the same reason you haven't told any of your friends or family or even romantic partners that you've been working on a book for 6 months, and they wonder what you be doing with your time sometimes. But they think you're doing great because you balance five other plates anyway, so they don't even know. It's all distraction, masquerade. Maybe I'm a magician, missing another plate to spin. Time for more YouTube research, right? YouTube University. So you're in your car and you think to yourself, that was really beautiful seeing that shooting star, but I shouldn't tell anybody. I should keep it to myself because it will it will take away from how special it was if I share it with too many people. And it will give people the chance to dull the shine of my experience and add their own little dust on it and say, nah, your perspective on things is old, dusty, and rusty. You need to have my shiny new perspective on it instead. Shooting stars are actually UFOs, but aliens aren't real. They're demons in disguise because space is just a projection from the Illuminati. And if you believe space is real, then you believe anything is real. And the earth is flat, and that's my brother. But he'll get there one day too. I believe in you. I really do. You got this. You got this. I know you do. So you start driving in your car down to your friend's house. Saw the shooting star. You're going to keep it to yourself. It's all right. It's good to keep some things to yourself. But you have to, this is the matter of perspective here on figuring out what you should share and keep to yourself. You're driving down the road. I'm going to keep this relevant for like 2035 when we got trillionaires walking around the globe. Globetrotting Trillionaires. That's my new music group. What you think? Uh, Tearing the tapestry of existence in half. Like a man named Jack did to a phone book. And a beautiful documentary on Netflix that's probably gone because it was wholesome and beautiful and therefore didn't make any money. Anyway, you're driving to your friend's house and you cut off somebody. You cut them off. Understand? And you didn't even think twice about it. Oh, I got to get over. I got to merge. They're an idiot. They're not going the right speed. I'm going the right speed. Why don't they see me? Mm, Maybe you didn't have your blinker on. Maybe you didn't honk your horn. You probably didn't do everything you could to get their attention to tell them that they were doing the wrong thing. So you cut that mofo off. That's all right. You got to get where you're going. You didn't hit them. They still going to get where they're going. But after you cut them off, they had to wait at a red light. And you got through the red light. Barely made it through traffic, four-way intersection. People started going. That dude couldn't even ran that red light to tailgate you and do some road raging if he wanted to. They, helicopter, whatever. that human is sitting at that red light, and you're driving on, and you're not thinking about them anymore. You're not thinking about the rude act that you just committed. Um, and believe it or not, somebody cut you off right after that. Next intersection, somebody cut you off. And we'll get back to that person that you cut off first. You cut this mofo off. You had no concept of what this person may or may not be going through, what they may or may not be late for, rushing to. They may have literally just lost their job, lost their relationship with their romantic partner. They might have just, as a result of losing their partner, lost their child in a way. They may have literally just lost their child, and that's why they lost their partner. And where they're driving to now is their parent in the hospital about to take their last breath, and all their parent wants to do is see the one person in their life that actually cares about them one more time before they die alone in the place that they got sick to begin with, the hospital. America. And now they're sitting at that red light because you cut them off, and they don't get to have that moment with their parent. They get to the hospital, and their significant other is dead because you weren't thinking about them. That's all right. Life goes on even after this. Hopefully. Then somebody cut you off, and ooh, child, did that upset you? That was the worst thing in the world. Now, see, there's levels to this upset thing. There's levels to the perception of what's going on. That person behind you got cut off. They missed like the most important thing that happened to them that like could have been a saving grace to some of the terrible things that they've been experiencing recently. And they just let it slide. They're like, yeah, who knows what that dude's going through that cut me off. That lady, that them helicopter. Because they have a deeper sense of understanding. They've ascended beyond the caveman mind that rules 98% of people, and that's why you're not a billionaire to begin with, because you got a little caveman mind throwing pebbles at a giant supercomputer thinking you rule things. That's a double-edged metaphor. Ain't nobody gonna get the whole thing of, because it's for a whole another episode. The person that you cut off was a trillionaire. Just kidding. Getting lost in my own sauce. Man, it's just delicious. The person that cut you off is a trillionaire. You don't know, because they ain't flexing and stunting like that. Some of the richest people in your city walking around with a dirty plaid shirt and some ripped up denim jeans that don't fit right, with a belt or some suspenders that also don't look right, giving them shoulder cancer like Larry King because they wear them schnazzers all the time. Maybe even they're brisk walkers, they're speed walkers in their spare time, and maybe they even got nip cancer from them suspenders. That's a rough one. So now it's no nip Nathan walking around, and that's the richest mofo in your town. And guess what he drives? A '97 Dodge Caravan in rusty gold. The undercarriage has like 10 coats of rhino lining on because he just keeps it going. It hasn't broken yet, so why does he need something new? The reality is, there are a lot of really rich people who have come to the understanding that money by itself is literally absolutely nothing. And you can't drive more than one car at a time. I would like to believe that there's some stuntman out there that's working on this scene for a movie where he's driving a European vehicle on the left foot, left hand, and an American vehicle on the right foot, right hand. It's me that's been working on it. The secret project number 2 for me is stuntman. But yeah, you can like loan out your cars to your friends and family and stuff like that. Let's not get started on insurance America. But it's the same thing with any possessions that you can acquire. There's only so much that you can indulge in at some point in time, and you begin to understand that having too much is a burden, and there's an amount that is enjoyable, and it's a parabola of an enjoyment. And I guess we're gonna wait for a whiteboard for me to unleash some cool diagrams and graphs and stuff. So, mofo to cut you off as a trillionaire, worst thing that ever happened to you. And even that trillionaire that cut you off was thinking to themselves, man, that was a real asshole move, that thing I just did. I hope they're okay. I hope they're not missing the dying breath at the hospital from the loved one because they've ascended uh, beyond the caveman brain. But you're stuck in the caveman brain, and that's okay because I let it get me too sometimes. A lot, a lot of times, regardless of how much we want to think that we can control everything about our life and our brain and our reality and all these things. We really can't. Uh, there has to be some form of original material streaming in there, messing with the script once in a while. And Trillionaire drives on by in their 97 Dodge Caravan, no Nip Nathan, and you get to your friend's house like 2 minutes later than you said you were going to, which they don't care about because they don't really care about you. They care about themselves, and they don't really care about how much you care about them. They just hope that you care about them for them because that makes them feel good. They don't really, you know, it's a whole thing. A lot of like, if a friend that you haven't talked to in like 4 months reaches out to you and is like, "Hey, how you doing? I haven't heard from you in a while." That's really them just saying, fuck you. Why haven't you reached out to me? Do you still care about me?" They don't care what you've been doing. They don't really care what your excuse is for not reaching out to them. They haven't considered if they're a bad person and that's why you don't talk to them. They just think that you're a butthole for not contacting them. But it goes both ways. And you get to your friend's house and you're all peed off because that trillionaire cut you off. One more cool thing happened before you got to your friend's house. You were a portly child, like myself, perhaps. And you see a little kid on a scooter, on a push scooter, not an electrical scooter, an old school push scooter. Ain't no motor on this thing. Ain't no iPad sitting in between the handlebars, playing him some Pixar nonsense so he just rides right into traffic. That's what they want in some ways. But they also really just want us to be sick and alone and powerless and depressed and dependent on a series of systems that oppress us for as long as possible. But you see this kid, and first thing, what's this kid doing in the middle of the night? It's nighttime. I just saw some shooting stars. What's this kid doing on a scooter? Well, you don't know his family situation, and that his mom's working 4 jobs, and the only time that she got to go out for a walk is at midnight, and she pretending that she protecting you to go out for the walk, but really she want you to protect her because you a badass little kid, and you don't take no shit from nobody, not ever. And mom's on the side protecting the kid, from traffic, so If somebody gonna get hit, it's her going down. Because that's really what she want anyway. She's just sad. She don't know what to do. She lost. And, 10 years from now, she's going to be telling the kid, I'm going to go drive in the river because I don't know what else to do. And you a little kid, so you be like, all right, because you don't know what else to say. But you be worried. And even though life's so hard and you got your high beams on because you dumb and you was high beaming the trillionaire that cut you off, trying to upset him, trying to show him how much you hurt instead of how much you've healed. That's a hurt culture thing. Whole nother video. And this kid, with just all of the innocence and purity and joy and love in the world, which is what you still are, but you forgot. You know it when you're a kid, you know it when you're old, but in between, parabola of life, whiteboard material, we forget not only how amazing life is, how beautiful the world is, but how amazing and how beautiful we are. We just get numb, blinded to the radiance of ourselves and others and the world around us for so long. That's one of the great tragedies of life. But it's moments like that that ground you to reality again. What's really going on inside you and inside others and mm, larger spectrums of as within, so without, and as above, so below. The worlds within worlds. This little kid wave at you with the biggest smile, and it just lights your soul up. You feel it to the core, and instinctively, with no self control whatsoever, you just immediately smile and wave back because that's your genuine reaction. That's a real life moment. We don't have too many of those these days. That kid was so happy that you waved back. You have no idea the ripple of goodness that might happen from you just acknowledging that kid. That kid reminded you of yourself. You saw yourself. That's what a lot of people really want to do, even though they're afraid to do it because they're afraid of what they might see. Seeing a bit of ourselves in others, seeing others in ourselves. It was a beautiful moment. But you're just so mad that that trillionaire cut you off. And you're not thinking about who you cut off. And you're keeping that shooting star to yourself. You show up at your friend's house. You don't tell him that you cut nobody off. You don't tell him that beautiful moment you had, the kid waving at you, walking, riding by on the scooter. You didn't tell him you saw a shooting star because you stoic now because you watched a YouTube video and you don't know nothing about Greek philosophy. And you just bring this anger to your friend's house. Oh, this poop shooter, this rump ranger cut me right off. Mm. Ruined my whole night, and you ruined your friend's night. When you could have made your friend's night a really special night, if instead of saying you got cut off, you could have just said, I saw a shooting star. I cut somebody off, and I saw this kid wave at me. You don't have to talk for a half an hour about it like I do. But they'll understand that it was special to you when they see the sparkle in your eye, whether regardless of what level you can articulate it. So it's all a matter of perspective and what we choose to say. And this is why I kind of feel like I'm being forced into the vlog cast. As I think I mentioned in the second video, I used to have a lot of friends, way too many friends actually, because you can only maintain so many healthy and good relationships, close relationships at a time. juxtapose that against now, diametric opposition of almost complete and utter aloneness, hermitude, isolation. And this time it's not intentional. For years and years before the coronavirus, before anyone even like had a concept from their own personal experience of what that isolation might feel like, people made fun of me frequently for occasionally getting into bouts of, you know, not socializing. Nobody could understand it because nobody had experienced it. And everyone made fun of me in their own special way sometimes. Very few people were genuinely concerned because mental health wasn't a big thing then. And then the coronavirus hit, and some people had empathy for me for the first time in regards to that. And they're like, wow, we know what it's like now to be all alone. And but then that would be followed by like, so you must be fine because that's nothing new to you. And it never really changed too much, it seems, since the coronavirus. People really figured out how to just fully entertain themselves and be okay with that. Like I said, it's hard enough to get through the day, so people have their own coping mechanisms, and I understand that. And as life goes on, there's this crucial age of raising children and having a career and trying to establish yourself for what you really want in life afterwards, that you'll never actually get, the carrot on a stick that you keep chasing for, the elusive and illusory American dream that no longer exists, that billionaires are probably just given money for free by the government to make you follow a different carrot, you know, because we need new carrots to keep throwing out there to get people to keep chasing, because people have awoken to the majority of things out there and know that they're either unattainable or not worth the sacrifices required to obtain them. So, on the note of telling one of my friends, multiples of my friends, that I had a life changing thing hanging in the balance, and wanted to access their help. Really, not even their help. Didn't have to do anything. Just let me in their house and let me use their computer and stand there and watch and be like, "What are you doing?" Scratch their head. Caveman mind. It's okay. Just keep looking up. And my one friend who I kept making references about the first couple episodes, first one, two, maybe even one reference in this episode. I want to have catastrophic thinking and be bitter and be like, I'm never going to reference him in another episode again. Um, because of this recent sequence of events. But I'm trying to reprogram and be a different character, playing the same game with a different strategy, different approach. But it's still life. Can't get too cute about it. So I told my friend, the one that inspired me to do the vlog, hey man, it meant a lot to me. You gave me that great advice. I, can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I feel like I got a new lease on life. First video is not homework. First video is 15 minutes. It's not like I'm, stealing 2 hours from you. And you'd think. I also told him, excuse me, I also told him that I shouted him out a couple of times in it, make him about himself, more attractive to the average human being. Like, oh shit, it's about me. And, just think to yourself, if somebody in your life who you actually, pretended to love and respect and care about, and actually admire and say, like, you're a really creative individual, I love your art and stuff, you're a really cool guy, or woman, or they, or a helicopter, just keep looking up. I, they would think um, that when you informed your friend who inspired you, who looks up to your art and stuff, that you were inspired by them and like kind of tailored something for them in a way that they would be honored and very excited to see it. Check it out. Like, hey, brother, what you do for me? Oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's like, seeing a portrait of myself. That's amazing. That's awesome. I can't believe you did that for me. So it's not like the biggest deal in the world, but I know I know my friend since sixth grade. He's the first friend I made in middle school. Actually, it was a pretty cool day. We're not gonna spend the whole every episode in sixth grade. I promise. There's other grades, and told him, like I'm really doing this thing different. This thing called life. I'm really playing it with a different character, legitimately, and I want you to see this vlog that I did because I actually think it's really something special. I don't know about episode 2 and 3. There's a lot of ramblings and uhs and ums and um, things that I can be upset with myself over repeating things that I know I can improve upon. That's all right. If we do it as good as we can do it the first time, then what's the point in doing it the second time? Because that would suck and just never live up to the amazing thing that you did luckily the first time and keep chasing the dragon. It's all a carrot one way or another. Carrot dragon. That's a good that's a good piece of art. Somebody paint that. I would love to paint a realistic carrot dragon. So I told my homie, got this vlog. Told him early in the morning. He ain't hit me back for like 48 hours. And was just like, I ain't do nothing this weekend. Why didn't you come over? You never hit me back. I'm not a mind reader. Not yet. Not fully. Working on that too. Secret project number 3. Keep looking up. Helicopter. And then I did get a hold of him, or well, he got a hold of me 48 hours later, and he was like, uh, my bad. Why don't you come over this weekend? I was like, how about you come over today? Like, literally before work. It's early again. I caught him at 6:30 in the morning. I'll be up at all hours. I don't sleep no more. Sleep's not that important. Don't let anyone fool you. It's actually super important. You will break down if you don't get enough sleep. Please sleep. Go to sleep. Thank you so much for today. And I was like, just kidding. You don't have to come over in the morning. I was inviting him over for breakfast and shit. But I was like, nah, don't worry about that. I know you're busy and stuff. So just stop by after work. 15 minutes. Watch the vlog. Get going. All right. Sounds good. Look forward to it. See you after work. I'm rushing around getting my stuff done so I can get back here. This is why I be getting mad at him. I'm a really busy dude, and when you tell me you're gonna be somewhere, you better be there because I'm a rush to be there, and I make a lot of sacrifices to be on somebody else's schedule. But I don't think I'm gonna do that ever again. I think if anyone wants to spend time with me at this point, they can be on my schedule. I don't know anybody else who's doing as much as me. I know people that I'm supposed to be working with on passion projects who tell me that their purpose in life is to do this thing, like make music or books or comedy or whatever things we're supposed to do together. I see them on like Discord. So they haven't responded to a message of mine in like 2 weeks. Says playing PUBG, and it's just like really, you clearly ain't about it. You clearly ain't passionate about it. Or if you are, you're just too afraid of it, and that's why you're playing PUBG instead of doing what you're supposed to do. This is why we can't manifest or think anything into existence. Because you think you can get in a meditative state playing PUBG and just make something happen. It's not how it works. Think you're gonna meet Ski Mask the Slump God or Soldier Boy playing PUBG and lobby that into a record deal? You're not. if you are a rapper, your product isn't real. It's all this video crap that they want. It's all the production that they want. It's all the engineering that they want. It's the hype words that really sell it for them. It's the dance routine that really does it. It's how many guns you got, how many blunts you got, how many of how many references to stealing the person that somebody's listening to your music and you're literally telling that person that is listening to your music that you're stealing their girlfriend and they listen to that music. They are the problem. I just want to throw that out there. The ocean is not filled with trash because of the billionaires, you dumbasses, because the billionaires consume less than you do on a legitimate basis, on an annual basis. For real. You think Elon Musk is making more garbage than you? You're a fool. You're making 10 times, 40 times, 50 times, 100 times more garbage than Elon Musk. Personally, on an individual level, in your home, you throw it out on the streets. And if this was the Middle Ages, it would pile up until we couldn't see each other anymore. But we ship it off somewhere to a place where they fight to the death for the right to get glass and metal and plastic out of the rest of the refuse. There's going to be, there already is, a floating mass of garbage in the ocean the size of Texas. Just go ahead and check out how big Texas is for a second. And the funny part is, there's always a funny part, and this is why comedy is stupid, because we can just make fun of it and laugh at it and say everything's okay with the joke that I'm about to tell you. But it's not okay. This is why it's serious, and why music is more powerful than comedy, because nobody on their deathbed says, let me hear that Matt Rife routine one more time. I'm about to drop a lot of expletives and get mad and punch the computer screen. Matt Rife, you're a terrible human being. Terrible human being. You don't deserve any of the success that you have. There are tens of thousands of comedians who should be in your place instead, that are so much funnier than you, so much more talented than you, so much better human beings than you. You're the Taylor Swift of comedy. You're a paper cutout, and you're garbage. And you are what should be floating around in the Texas-sized pile of garbage in the ocean. And here's the funny part. Boston, a city built on garbage, a bunch of trash people, like my friend Andrew Kramer, belongs in the trash as well. But you've got this, buddy. I believe in you. I don't. I don't. You're garbage. You really are. You know I don't believe that. You know I believe that you're recycling. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Rihanna. Never forget. So Boston, city built on top of garbage, is landlocked. Nobody really thinks about it very much. If there was an island somewhere out there that was composed entirely of trash, that had skyscrapers on it, still nobody would really think anything about it. And we are not far from some mound of trash in the middle of the ocean, building up so high that it piles over the surface of the sea level. And some billion out there puts a flag on it so he can sell real estate, diversify his assets, and funnel some funds offshore to avoid taxes so that he doesn't have to pay for Elon Musk. Elon Musk's Musk, my new cologne, mostly sandalwood. That mass of garbage out in the ocean is going to be called Garbaggio or Garbogia. You can vote in the comments down below what you want the island to be called. Garbaggio, Garbogia. And the rent's going to be so cheap, nobody's really going to care. Nobody's going to ask any questions. It's going to be like, man, it's good here. Don't ask any questions. Don't mess this up. Rate of cancel will be pretty high. That's the only caveat. Everything else will be good there. Because it's an experimental city and they have to demonstrate that everything's going to go well first. It'll just be to sell you something else anyway. So my friend was supposed to be here at 5. Said I'll see you at 5. I'm looking at the phone every 5 minutes, and this isn't some like random acquaintance like one of the engineers or producers or publishers or accountants or lawyers or any of these other titled people that I'm trying to communicate with. This is my one of my best friends, if not legitimately my best friend. And he knows just what a turning point I'm at and what a catastrophic thinker I am, to the point where, when he did this to me once upon a time, this would have been enough to like put a brief hiatus on our friendship, because he didn't understand how serious I was taking everything. And that is partly my fault, but I'm just tired of accepting less than I know I'm worth and less than I have to offer. So he told me uh, about 8 o'clock. Oh, my bad, my fault. I was just itching to go motorcycle riding. And that links into so many other things that should be a topic for a whole nother video as well. So many other things. We'll get back to the motorcycles, don't worry. I'll briefly touch on the fact that I can't completely blame him because the weather's been messed up here. And even though it's been a super warm winter, for the last 2 weeks he was sick, so he couldn't get out. And it was a really nice day today, 60 degrees in February, sun shining. He had to work. He probably, was just thinking about it all day long. And the beauty of action sports, I actually just realized today. See, if he didn't do this, I wouldn't have had this thought. Everything works out one way or another. The reason action sports are so compelling and so popular, and even people who are like terrified of them and think that they would hate them, try them in one way or another, and they're like, "Oh my God, that was amazing." You know why that was so amazing? Because we spend 95% of our lives thinking about the past or thinking about the future. And so immeasurably small in comparison do we actually immerse ourselves into the present and embrace the beauty and the joy and the harmony and the infinity and the love that is the present moment. That's all that we ever have. This is why love is so special. It brings you into the present moment. It's all you're thinking about. Sometimes I wanted to sound smart when a girl would ask me, "What are you thinking about?" Because they were fascinated by my mind. And if I was silent for a while or just making a particular expression, they'd be curious, like, "Oh, what's he thinking about right now?" It's probably something really cool. I was honestly just so blissed out and so happy to be in the presence of somebody that I loved that I really wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just fully in the present moment. And this is what action sports force you to do, because some of them, they're so dangerous. Your life is at stake. So you have to be fully immersed in the present moment. You're not thinking about the past. You're not thinking about the future. Even if it's like, say you're a skier and it's the same run on the same mountain that you've done 1,000 times, you're not thinking about the last 999 times that you've did it. Your body might have some muscle memory of it, and your subconscious might have a ton of recollections and storage of all of the times that you've done it. But it's that conscious part of your brain and the awareness and the consciousness that you have being fully immersed into that present state of exhilaration. That's why action sports are so popular. So I couldn't blame him when he went on his motorcycle today, because he just wanted to be in the present moment. And he, like most of us, sometimes have to force ourselves into it. We have to kind of hypnotize ourselves to get into that state of awareness. And it's hard to do, all the time. There are some people who train themselves very well to do it, but I don't think they're, ultimately very productive or useful to the world. They're blissed out and they're happy and they're having a great experience. But I think that's pretty selfish, just like the vlog, where you're just talking. But this is why I feel like the universe has called me to do it, because I used to have 20 friends. lined up like Maine Coon cats in the shade in Bangladesh on a hot day, waiting for me to come home, jingle the key. They all get excited, start wagging their tail, because they know there's really good company inside that house. They all had each other. Nobody was saying anything to each other. They're all sitting there in silence, playing with their Pokemon and their yo-yos. Because they don't know how to be in the present moment, so they distract themselves, entertain themselves. And they didn't do a very good job of communicating with each other. And they knew that we all saw the same thing that same day, but I was the one that had the best story about that thing that we all saw. I had the best angle on it, the best perspective. This is why our vessel is so valuable. And I would hold court, so to speak. And 20 people would be hanging on every word that I said about the same thing that they saw. This wasn't even me venting about, family or personal matters or anything like that. Just we all saw something crazy happen at school, and they knew I was about to have improv stand up routine about it, the same day, basically. And even in the cafeteria, if I stood up, the whole cafeteria got silent. They're like, "Man, what's this mofo about to say?" So I had an audience, in other words. And this was formulated by the call and response, the cause and effect. I was a very shy child, hiding behind my dad's leg in shame as we approached the Chinese buffet story for another video. So it was quite the evolution for me, talking about 360s and 1440s. I've done a 2880 on socialization and relationships and whatnot. It didn't take long for me being at school to realize that people were very fond of my company and my friendship, and that felt good. So I entertained it. And I did it as much for them as I did it for myself later in life once I realized how much they genuinely enjoyed my presence. So even if I was down on a particular day and didn't want to hang out with somebody, I hung out with them because I knew, chances were maybe they were down or they just, you know, they would enjoy hanging out with me, and I would set my things aside and spend time with them. And that's why I'm 33 and single, because I'm a really nice guy, and I gave my friends a lot more than they ever gave me, and I still do to this day. Um, but went from having 20 homies waiting for me outside the crib to finally having my first house now by myself and having nobody to come here. That's really weird. I've the way that everything has worked, I still maintained like a dozen pretty darn close friendships, and most of those people haven't even been to my house yet, and I've been here for 9 months, almost 10 months now, and some of my closest friends haven't stepped foot in here. So I think that they're still really close friends. I don't know. I'm starting to get the sensation that maybe they don't think that I'm close friends with them. And this is when you realize that, reality is a subjective experience and not anyone is having the same emotions as you. But, this is why your personal emotions are powerful, but also meaningless in the face of reality. But it is this notion that the whole world is alone right now and needs a friend. And even though I've been what I consider to be a really good friend, and I'm reaching out to my friends, I can't get them to come through on the simplest tasks. Or so I feel like I'm no longer meant to have these one-on-one conversations with my friends because honestly, for the last half decade anyway, after a couple of breakdowns in a lot of weird places in my life, I started to think to myself, what I have to say could potentially be really valuable to some people because so many of us are going through the same thing. And I feel like the way that I process it could be really helpful to a lot of people and save them some of the pain that I've gone through. And so a lot of those one-on-one conversations that I had that I thought were brilliant with with my friends could have been recorded and turned into a podcast or something like that. I gave all of my friends free reign to record me anytime they wanted for anything. Most of the time, just too enraptured in the moment because I actually, I pulled them into the awareness of the now. I was really good at doing that, so nobody had their phones out when I was around. Catch 22, Matchbox 20. So I feel like the universe is saying you could rap all you want, but there's 10 billion rappers out there. You can write as many books as you want, but there's 10 billion books out there. You can say as much comedy as you want, but there's 10 million comedians out there. And even though there's like 10 million plus, probably, I don't know, there's probably like 2 billion people out there on YouTube right now trying to do some form of what I'm doing right now, honestly. So is this any better? No, I don't think so. But it's representation and a reflection of that there is that need for people to fill the void of the human connection that we're missing right now. And I know this is a weird format and it's low budget, and I haven't even moved this plant out of the way. Oh, apparently I can't. That's a stiff leaf, bro. I didn't want to upgrade everything at once. That leaf about to come back out. Don't worry, don't get scared. It's okay. Keep looking up. Like a light in front of me so I don't look like I got Planet of the Ape cheeks. Planet of the Ape cheeks. And other stuff. I feel like I'm a fairly handsome fellow as much as I uh got that ugly duckling syndrome and see a different mofo than y'all see. But so I really genuinely hope that someone out there sees the humor and the heart in the things that I'm saying and can apply them to their own life in some way, or that they have some implications to their own existence, the fortune cookie style. That well, just hopefully there's a reason for me doing this because this would really suck to just have picked up another plate just because my friend saw a talent in me that they thought would be cool to press the button and watch me go on, and it's just another thing like the rap. I literally have if I wasn't already an hour and a half deep, I would tell you I'm about to do a concert for you. I think that's what we'll do episode 4. Honestly, yeah, episode 4, I'm going to play the piano for you guys. Well, no, screw that. I have 140 pianos out there. We'll do that another time. I'm just going to rap for you cuz that's not most places. We're going to see how terrible it sounds. If we're filming in 720p and it looks like 140 potato cam, then I don't imagine the sound's going to be that much better. The microphone's an upgrade from what I had previously, but with the beat going and my voice, the multi-layer sound, I don't think it's going to be very good. I'm just a no nip Nathan naysayer, really. But that's why I'll be the richest guy in your town and you won't know. Hopefully. I really don't even want to be like I don't want to be irresponsibly rich so much so that it is a burden and you have to go outside with the security team and stuff. I really don't even want to be that famous. I don't want to be famous at all, really. That's the weird thing. I should be doing this with a ski mask or something like that. When I was a little kid, everyone was telling me that I was going to be president or I had to be. stand-up comedian or something like that, and nobody had any concept of what was going on inside me, or was just giving me the opportunity to find out what I really wanted to do, because everyone was trying to live vicariously through what they saw in me. And so many people really just live like meaningless and purposeless lives, so they want to extract some sort of meaning or purpose from other people. That's what we would be calling them, energy vampires. uh, Too Hollis, Vampire Girl, always asking what she did to me. Barely show people what's called the real me. If you want to look crazy, just indoors. You got to be indoors. Start swiping away bugs that aren't there, and talk about them. And describe bugs that don't exist. These purple winged, invisible juice beetles. They'll leave you alone. It's a sad story. It's just a weird world we live in, because sometimes there's great reactions that could and interactions that come from people recognizing you. They say like, "Oh, you really changed my life," or you gave me something to look forward to, or I saw a part of myself in you. And it's like the Robin Williams thing. So I heard Theo Vaughn tell a sad story. He was down on himself in the airport having a hard day, assembling a Lunchable sandwich, which is it's a great joke in itself, I guess. You'd make more like a Lunchable submarine than a Lunchable sandwich. I guess they're designed to make sandwiches. You know what I'm saying here. More elaborate venture than a normal Lunchable. Trying to make it respectable. And a fan came up to him. I'm not reading a script. I just keep playing with this gum container. I don't really know why. Or looking at it. That's what I was looking at all episode 2, too. Just to let you know. Tutu. He wearing a tutu. Fan came up to Theo Vaughn, and Theo Vaughn saw him approaching, getting excited, like, I'm about to meet a celebrity. And the guy's like, "Oh, are you Theo Vaughn?" And Theo Vaughn's like, "Not today." And the guy was really nice about it. He's like, "I understand." But that's just sad, because we live in a world where we're so hard on ourselves. We judge ourselves before anyone else has a chance to. It's that Chicago deep dish, self-deprecation. I'm gonna hurt myself before anyone else hurts me. It's kind of what it is. It's a bad place to be in, and you know, I'm not gonna suggest you start a vlog to completely change your life, because this hasn't completely changed my life. In fact, it's made it a little more difficult already. You know, but I'm hoping that these growing pains yield some impressive fruit for me to share with my friends. I don't know what you got to do to have friends now in today's world. Like, who do I got to be the billionaire, stand-up comedian, rapper, published author, writer, director, producer of movies, multimedia corporation owner to have friends now? Is that how hard it is just to have friends? Who do you have to be? I don't really get it. It's gotten to the point actually where I think a lot of friends are annoyed with me because of how much progress I made recently. Um, I never anticipated being the guy that people were jealous of, but it happens. I, I think back of my stories. My dad would tell me he met so many famous people and celebrities, and he would judge them solely based off of his interaction with them, as if, first of all, what he had to say was the pinnacle of opinion, and then beyond that, that he caught them at the perfect moment. Like, who's to say they weren't going through some terrible thing at that day, and they just wanted to Theo Vaughn out and not be Theo Vaughn that day. He met Nick Faldo at a bar, and that's the same exact thing. He said, "Hey, are you Nick Faldo?" And Nick Faldo was, "No, I'm not Nick Faldo." Said it just like Nick Faldo, so it was probably Nick Faldo. But that upset my dad so deeply because he took it so personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to maintain your anonymity. I don't like the way that Ben Affleck says it. And he's like, why can't the world just let me be a performer when I want to perform? And then when I don't, they just leave me alone. Well, that's not how it works, Ben. You can't pull people's heartstrings and then expect them not want to play a tune on yours when they see you. That's just how it works. So I'm taking a great risk at this because for probably like 22 years, from the age of 5 to 27, I convinced myself like I am destined for fame and fortune. I'm gonna make it no matter what. I can't get in my own way no matter what I do. It's gonna happen. And for the last 6 years, I thought to myself, maybe that's not such a good thing. Maybe I'd be a lot happier living the train station agent life, Peter Dinklage style. Just, finding peace in a lesser and relatively solitary existence. It's really difficult to say. I know that I want a family, and I feel like part of the reason, even though a couple of girls that I was with knew for sure that I was going to be a millionaire, and that's not just because they were Miss Cleo or whatever. Um, they really believed in me, and they knew I was going to make it happen one way or another. But it's weird when you don't have it going. You don't, because technically I got all these plates spinning, but I don't technically have an occupation, and that's difficult to tell somebody, well, especially somebody who's already got a family going. But we're not going to get into all that yet either. That's a whole nother story. Topic for another video. Thank you very much for today. Just keep looking up. Um, when a girl sees that you don't have an occupation, it does strike her as a difficulty to conceive that you'll be able to take care of her in the long run, or your children, or yourself, or whatever. It's a bad look. So I really need something to work bad, just for my own personal sanity as well. I don't want to be the guy that has posthumous success in his art. I lost 4.5 years of my writing, music, comedy, poetry, movie, TV shows. Um, Two of the best love songs that I think were ever written, and I'm not kidding. Better than Bill Withers or Stevie Wonder or Charlie Chaplin. Seriously. There's a lot of really good stuff on that phone, but I didn't give up. In fact, I think I've written some of the best stuff that I've written. Maybe not love songs, but I've written some of the best stuff that I've ever written since that time, even though it was really hard to write for a while. I think every human being, like I said, we do that human thing where we try to construct a narrative, and especially a linear narrative with a sense of finality in its conclusion and a sense of purpose in its rises and falls of drama and resolution and conflict. And all this comes from the conception of our suffering. We want to think that it's all mounting towards something, building towards something worthwhile. That hopefully, if we're good people, that means that we don't hope that that just positively impacts us, but we hope that that positively impacts others, because some, I think, you know, the value of love in those interspecies relationships, where the dolphin is trying to save a tuna. But the irony is that tunas, more often than not, blow off their own tail because they're so fast. That's an interesting thing to think about. We'd be hurting ourselves more often than other people hurt us. That's the truth. Because most people hurt us one time, and then we hurt ourselves a million times with that one time that they hurt us. We don't have to. But while we keep hurting ourselves, we think that we can, through the knowledge of how we hurt ourselves and how others have hurt us and how we've hurt others, we can assemble this network of information to help others not hurt others, not hurt themselves, not get hurt by others, reduce the total value of suffering in the world. That is one of the many values of love. And I read back some of the things that I've written, and I know how powerful they are because I'm a hard guy to impress or make happy sometimes, especially in regards to my actions towards myself. And for 2 decades, I've been assembling all this stuff and looking at it, thinking that it's just not very good, and that I've wasted my time, and that would make me feel pretty nuts. Unfortunately, that's a fairly common theme of artists and creative people is that they do spend their entire lives thinking this thing like, oh, this art that I'm making is worth something to someone, and not even monetarily, just spiritually, emotionally, experientially worth something. And so many artists never get to see the light of day. Their works never get to see the light of day. And it's usually not even that happy story where, they die and then their family's rich because everyone figured out how cool they were and how ahead of their time they were. And all the stuff suddenly worth a bunch of money and everyone fully appreciates it for the first time ever now that that person's dead and can't experience that. Sometimes the art just all gets thrown away. Like me losing that 4.5 years of work. I told, people say you can manifest things, blah, blah, blah. We in overtime right now. Sorry about that. Hour 42. Dang, man. I told people that I thought what I had written was more valuable than my life itself. And that if anything ever happened to me, it was important that they still made something out of my writing. That's how much I thought of it. When I wasn't contorting the thought into something else or being negative about it, saying that, oh, it's not really that good, or it'll have a counterintuitive or negative effect instead when it does be when it, if it ever is received by a considerable portion of people. And I just, in this world of all this instant stuff, I decided to do some research yesterday just to see, estimate literally how many rappers there are in the world, and there's not a good figure on it. This is why sometimes it's more important to just believe things than know things. And I don't want to like talk in this, semantics of arguing reality and beliefs and opinions because there are things that are legitimately real, but things that haven't happened yet, events of your life, they are not real yet. So you can believe anything that you want, and it usually starts with the belief to make it real. Otherwise, things are chosen for you, and why not at least exercise the ability to make your own decisions about your own life? But countless rappers, 91% of them never ever make it in any way whatsoever. That sounds like winning the lottery already, though, because a 9% chance to make it in this world, that's crazy. Sounds like if you just keep trying for 10 years, then you'll make it. I've listened to some amazing rappers for over a decade who consistently release I really don't know what they're doing wrong, and they still sometimes have 3-digit views or 4-digit views on their incredible song that I think could like change so many people's lives if they heard it. Is this just a byproduct of, you know, oversaturation? Is there just way too much stuff out there? Is there a systematic suppression of, but potentially things that try to exploit the solution instead of the problem? Because the reality of why the world is so messed up is every single system is designed to profit off of a problem. So to solve that problem wouldn't be profitable. So that's why all of these problems are continually extended further and further into themselves until they create more problems to make more profit off of. Think about it on a level from every single industry, from insurance to the medical industry to our food to war to prison, all of it done to make money. We fight wars because we make money, not because we're a good country or we're doing good things or putting the right leaders in place or serving justice. We do it because we make money. We put prison, we put people in prison not because it's a system of rehabilitation and earnest restitution to society and a transformative process where they become educated and docile and successive subservient members of society when they're released. No, it's because they make money. And same thing with medicine. Man, if they could give you a pill that cured everything and all you had to do was take it one time, that wouldn't be marketable. If you were a drug company that was trying to get that to market and you told whoever your private equity funding guru was, yeah, yeah, man, it's just one pill. They only got to take it one time. They would probably just murder you, honestly. I don't even think they would laugh at you. I think they would just like eat your guts alive, like people in New Guinea or some jackals or something like that. But this isn't all I'm going to do. I'm not just going to sit here and talk and do nothing. As I said, continual improvement, incremental, hopefully exponential improvement. I will find all the people that are interested in helping me, not just observing and witnessing things that were designed to help them, but actively participating and making a better product for other people to benefit from. That is the goal. And even if I don't successfully find my crew right off the bat, I will do what I can to make the environment more presentable and more visually appealing because I know many people have a ravenous and insatiable visual appetite. It's all right, I understand. And I really want to rap for you guys, like I said, so I'm going to do that next episode. And I don't know, I might read some stand up comedy once in a while here and there, some legit stuff instead of just riffing and saying weird things. They seem disparate, but are all interconnected. I hope you see the succinct nature in this in some way, because there's so many distant pathways, but it's all from the same tree trunk. But I would like to cook as well, incorporate some legitimate, like skillful cooking television presentation. Cooking has been a very important part of my life because eating is a very important part of everybody's life. So why not learn how to do it so you can eat stuff exactly the way you like it? I think that's a smart thing to do. I could teach you some pretty cool things. I sometimes forget all the things that I can teach people to do. Um, I don't know if I'm going to give anyone PGA Tour professional golf advice, but I mean, I could literally teach people to golf, play ping pong, play tennis, I'll make a big long list: basketball, football, baseball, badminton, fishing, how to take care of and raise fish, propagate them, breed them, ensure quality life for them, maintain plants, aquatic plants, terrestrial plants, air plants even. Did y'all know there was air plants? Avatar, not the last airbender. Plants be bending air. So many more things I want to say, but we about hitting the 2 hour mark, and I just don't want to do it. I don't want to hit that 2 hour mark. Not until I have a legitimate reason to. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. I can't believe I didn't mention that in any of the first three videos. Well, this is the third one. In the first two, I know I said, some nice, empowering things, lift your spirits in the first two videos. So I hope you know I'm thinking about you, and I am doing this for you, like I'm saying. Even though I'm doing this for me too, a little bit, just a little tiny bit. Grab a hold on something while this world is spinning and pretend I'm not moving as fast as it is for a second. The calmness, the stillness. I just need my thing. I need my outlet, and I need an audience. Otherwise, the outlet means nothing to me, because then it is just a self-serving thing. And it's so weird now that I'm like almost 4 hours. Well, I'm over 4 hours into this now, and no one's seen it yet. So I can't tell you how excited I am to get feedback. And it's weird to start saying like, "Thank you so much. I love you so much." When I don't have an audience yet, I don't have any comments. Most of the subscribers on my piano YouTube channel are bots. I'm really curious how many of the subscribers are actual people. A couple of messed up things happened with my YouTube. So I've just been telling people recently, like, some of these people, like, aspiring to be billionaires and stuff. I used to think to myself, man, it would be really cool to have 1 million followers. I can't handle that right now as much as I think it actually still would be really cool. I can't successfully handle or manage that because I have a genuine desire to communicate with everybody and interact with everybody. It was to the point where even when I just got 2,000 fans on Instagram, I was responding to every single comment, every single direct message. It became a fully enveloping job in itself. And I wasn't getting paid, but it was a joy to do because I was brightening people's day. And that's all I want to do with this. Um, brighten my day a little tiny bit, but if I can brighten other people's days a little tiny bit, that would mean the world to me. That's really what I want to do. I I feel like, and I want to interview people too. I don't want to just sit here. I got on my Amazon shopping list, shopping cart, two little Bluetooth microphones so we could be pieced up and I can have somebody else talking with me. I want to show I want to show the world what my dad said to me when he was in the hospital the last time I saved his life. That's really what I want to do, and it's not just influenced by my dad. I think he took it from me, and so that was an honor in a way, even though it wasn't a direct compliment. But I sometimes I fail to forget the impact on the people that I've had around me, and I've looked at it a lot of different ways, and I know that my dad's done a 720 on me, for sure. But luckily, he's looking at me from a pretty good angle right now. But he was on the chemicals that you experience after a near death experience, which is just a tremendous high on top of some pretty high grade hospital chemicals. And he was just really happy to be alive and thinking in that pure state of love and gratitude, which we should all seek to do. Unfortunately, it didn't last for him, but he thought to himself, he he wanted to highlight that everyone in the world has a story to tell that is valuable. because it can help other people. And he's been an interesting individual with a lot of potential that was never realized. And a lot of people asked of him, I think, a lot of the same things that they asked of me, which is why this feels eerie in a lot of ways. Like, am I just, how far does the apple fall from the tree? How much of myself uh, is him, you know? But he said he was going to write a book to to illustrate this to people, to explain to people how special they all are, to make the whole world a better place. That was his goal. And I was like, man, that's extraordinary. I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that. I will help you in any way I can to make sure you do that. Nothing I could have done besides write the book myself and hand it to him and put his name on it. I might do that. I might actually do that sometime because that's the kind of person that I am. And why I'm 33 and single. Looking fly as a mofo. My dad asked me what's with this outfit today. Looks like a spacesuit. I said, yeah, that's because I'm from the future. And I hope this is I hope my future self can look back at this and laugh at how doubtful I was about this working out. This is super duper raw. I see so many people out there, making 10-minute videos, hitting the pause, stopping the video, restarting, doing so many things, messing up. I just talked for 2 hours straight. I didn't have to touch anything. Yes, there was a lot of ands and ums. That's the second time that I've said that, but I didn't really repeat myself. I think, like I said, I think that I'm doing a good job. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, but I think I'm doing a good job at it yet. Already. And this is just the beginning. And I really do love you all so much. There's there's no words to explain it. That's what art is. Everyone's attempt, honest, beautiful struggle with whatever their medium may be, to just tell y'all how much they love you. The whole world, everybody out there, every song, even that stupid stuff. That's really stupid and really bad for you. That says a lot of really negative things and evil things occasionally. Is still honestly that person just trying to tell you, yeah, I'm going through this struggle with you too. And well, it's also telling you I'm trying to do what's popular so I can get your attention. But half the time too, that's just them doing what's popular so they can tell you what's really popping in their mind. But they got to get the audience first, so they got to do what's popular first. I don't want to just do what's popular. I want to speak from the heart. And as much as I want to do comedy fitness routines, because that's the intersection of things, and I want to make my brother proud, and I want to make my dad proud, and I want to make my mom happy, and I want to be able to support them all. And I can't do it just continually creating without releasing anything, without making a living off of any of these things. It's this is all I got right now, and I hope it's enough. I hope it's enough for you. Either way, I love you. I really do. Even if you hate this, I'm sorry that I didn't do a good enough job to appeal to you. I ain't gonna say suck my stick or nothing. I was supposed to have a prop stick for that one, for that joke. Thought about it. I was not gonna throw that one in here. But so much better things to come, in every way, shape, and form. For this podcast, myself, and for you, and for the world. Buckle down and prepare. I hear people keep talking about New World. That's for a whole nother episode. It's a whole nother story. Thank you so much for today. Just keep looking up. Thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for today. Picture a whole bunch of cool graphics and subtitles and flashy effects, post editing stuff that make me look like a real pro. This ain't raw. You ain't seeing none. You ain't seeing none. You ain't seeing none. It's all disappearing before your very eyes. So fight hard to hold on to what you love.